The Halloween party had ended, and Whitney had made a proposal to her friends, Owen, Mark, George, and Jennifer. She invited them to stay and play creepy games in the house of her dead aunt, just to keep celebrating Halloween. They agreed with her. Whitney was very popular in school for coming from a very freak family. She only talks about her dead aunt even though her parents are dead too. It seemed that she used to have a very special bond with her aunt, but since they were friends, no one of them believed in those kind of stuff, so they had been taken to that house. It was very large, seemed to be made of wood and looked too old, or even seemed to be full of spiders. They went in and got astonished about the fact of everything looked so expensive, in good condition, with some furniture covered in sheets, very well kept, but dusty. There was a huge chandelier in the dining room. The candles were lighting, but the flame was blue. It also was a peculiar detail. In all around the house were lots of photos of Whitney's aunt. Mark took a game. It was supposedly haunted. The game called it Talking Board. Whitney explained them how to play it. They need to be in silence. Make a circle around the talking board, and one of them has to provide blood as tribute. Mark provided his blood as tribute. Once the first drop of blood had touched the floor, the lights gone. Blue lights were the only thing they had to see. The air began to get colder. They can even feel breaths behind them. They started asking absurd things. Then Mark says they were summoned spirits, and then they asked who of them would die at last. The talking board had displayed Jenny's name. Suddenly, they hear a horrible noise. It came from back of them, exactly the first floor. It sounds like a murder. Whitney decided to take a breath and leave the room for a while. An old television turned on and projected a legend that said, "Don't scream." Mark became hysterical and left the room running looking for Whitney. All the guys heard the scream of Mark. Mark was dead, with an injury on his chest that said, "Don't try to live." Jenny started to cry on George's shoulders. Owen was worried about and left the room in order to find Jenny. When he left the room and walked down through the hallway, he saw lots of photos of Whitney's aunt, until he saw Whitney standing at the corner, with blood in her hands. She looked up with the most chilling stare and saying slowly, "You scream, you die." Mark screamed. Mark died. Suddenly, someone touched Owen at the back, and when he turned around, he has been already dead. Suddenly, in the room, the window opened wide, and George and Jenny were able to see at the distance many cracks next to a big photo of the Whitney's aunt. The door had been closed, and they were terrified. By surprise, they heard what seemed to be the voice of Whitney saying, "Help me, come to me." They turned around and saw a rocking chair with Whitney with her head down, saying once and twice, almost whispering in low volume, "Help me, come here." Jenny started to be closer to her, and when she was in front of the chair, she screamed. She managed to escape. George was petrified to see what was going on in front of his eyes. He saw Whitney with wide eyes and full of blood while she was getting closer to him. Jenny started to say louder and louder, "Don't scream! Don't scream, George! Don't scream!" He tried to jump through the window, and he did it, but he jumped for the third floor while she was screaming aloud. He did. Only Jenny is still alive, until she made the worst mistake of her whole life. She hid in the kitchen. She was trying to keep in silence, but she couldn't help but murmur. She just wanted to escape from that house. The floor began to creak, and Jenny could hear someone getting closer. "Lights turned off." George's corpse was in front of her. She screamed as louder as she could. Whitney was behind Jenny. She began to choke Jenny's neck, took a knife and cut her tongue. Finished her work, Whitney put some clean clothes on and took one of the hundreds of photos of her aunt and kissed it. She was ready for go outside to get more friends in order to visit the house of her lovely aunt.